Welcome back to Sideways Look, looking where others don't. I am Dr. Paul. Today we're tackling one of the most explosive and contested issues in American democracy: free speech. The debate has reignited following the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, a well known conservative speaker. Kirk built his platform around the idea that free speech meant the freedom to say whatever he believed, even if his words were deeply offensive or harmful to others. Let me be clear at the outset: I do not celebrate his death because violence is never the answer. No matter how much we may disagree with someone's opinion, he was a husband, a father, a brother. His life was taken in a callous act, and this is simply not justice. But today's episode isn't about celebrating or condemning one man. It's about what his life, his message, and now his death reveal about the fragile state of free speech in America. Why do some defend free speech as an absolute right for themselves, while others who push back risk suspension, job loss, or even physical harm? Just look at what happened to late night host Jimmy Kimmel, who was suspended for 6 days after after public backlash over controversial remarks. So let's take a sideways look at free speech. Who really gets to use it? Who gets silenced? And what does this say about our democracy? Free speech is often hailed as the cornerstone of American democracy. The First Amendment guarantees that the government cannot restrict our right to express ourselves. That sounds simple enough until you start asking what counts as free speech. Who gets to define its limits? For some, free speech is sacred. It means the right to voice opinions no matter how unpopular, how offensive, or how hurtful. The logic goes like this: if we start policing words, we risk policing ideas. But free speech was never designed to be without consequences. The Constitution protects us from government punishment, not from social pushback, employment consequences, or community accountability. That's where the tension begins. So let's take a look at the double standard. When a figure like Charlie Kirk or other outspoken voices on the right claim free speech, they often mean freedom from being challenged. But when critics respond, suddenly their free speech isn't seen as legitimate. Instead, it's branded as censorship, canceled culture, or even justification for retaliation. The Jimmy Kimmel example is telling. He was suspended for 6 days, not by the government, but by his network, a private company reacting to public outrage. That distinction matters. Yet, the outcome sends a chilling message. Free speech may be legally protected, but it doesn't guarantee safety from consequences. So, where on the left is asking this question: is free speech truly free if the cost is your job, your reputation, or, in extreme cases, your life? Let's take a look at the human cost of words. We all know that words matter. They can inspire movements. They can also incite violence, spread hate, and legitimize harm against vulnerable groups. You see, too often the free speech conversation ignores this reality. It isn't just about the right to speak, it's about the power behind the speech. Who has the microphone, the platform, the audience, and who bears the brunt when harmful rhetoric spreads unchecked? And at that same time, silencing voices, even harmful ones, has its own dangers. Who decides what crosses the line? And what happens when today's limits are used tomorrow to suppress voices fighting for justice? So, where do we go from here? Free speech in America is at a crossroads. We live in a society where one promises right to speak collides with another person's right to exist without being demeaned or threatened. How do we reconcile these competing truths? We can reaffirm that free speech is not a shield from accountability. We can challenge harmful rhetoric without resorting to violence. And we can create space where disagreement doesn't have to end in cancellation or in tragedy. In closing, the assassination of Charlie Kirk is a stark reminder of how fragile this balance has become. But his death should not be an excuse to weaponize free speech, nor should it be a reason to celebrate. The real question we should be asking is, whose mic is it anyway? And who gets heard, who gets silenced, and who decides? If democracy is to survive, free speech cannot just belong to the loudest or to the most powerful. It must be a right we all share and a responsibility we all must respect. I'm Dr. Paul, and this has been Sideways Look, looking where others don't. Please don't forget to share this episode with someone. Subscribe. Thank you so very much.